Hi, this is Kim, and this is Beginner Watercolor. Our subject is roses, and I have here a couple of reference photographs of roses, and they were printed out on high quality photo paper on my inkjet printer. It's a premium glossy photo paper so that we could see the colors really clearly. Of course, nothing compares to real life, but for this demonstration, I'm using the reference photos. And today, my goal is to create a color chart, a color mixing chart based on the colors that I observed in the roses and trying to predict what tube colors I'm going to use and resulting mixtures. Now, this is just a basic two-color chart. There will be cases where I will have to eventually mix a third color, but the two-color color chart is a good starting point. And what you see here is this is just basically, it's just a grid, a 1-inch grid. And what I have here are the abbreviations of all the colors that I'm going to use, and they're repeated across the top and along the side. And you see here, there are swatches of the tube colors across the top and along the side, because I'm mixing every color with every other color. So let me go through the list of colors that are abbreviated here. I have cad yellow light, cadmium yellow, cad red light, Grumbacher red or Pyrrole red you can use. I have quinacridone opera, which is that bright pink, quinacridone violet, cerulean blue, cobalt blue, and ultramarine blue. And I based that initial selection of color on, again, the colors that I saw. So I see some yellows and oranges, I see some cool pinks, I see salmon color, and I see a range of different greens. Some greens are cooler, some of them have a violet, even a violet undertone to them, and I see, yellow greens and blue greens. So I'm going to mix the color chart based on these colors, and we're going to see how close we can get with just this two-color chart on creating a palette for painting either one of these roses. So I'm going to take these pictures away and put them off to the side so that you can see I already have started here some of the two-color mixtures. And here you see, you don't really see much of a difference, but the cadmium yellow with the cadmium yellow light is here. And then I have the cad red light with the cad yellow light here. I skip that because I have to go back to it because, I skip around so that I don't have one square running into each other. In this one, I have the quinacridone, the bright pink, the quinacridone opera mixed with the cad yellow light. So what I'm going to proceed with now is just, to continue and fill out this chart. Now, what comes in this rectangle, in this triangular part here of the rectangle is going to mirror what's here. So I'm going to X out. You're going to see I'm going to skip these blocks in this wedge here because it's only a repetition of what will be over here. So that being said, the goal here is to get just the visual equivalent of the middle equal amounts of each color of the two colors in each square. So for some pigments, you won't need to mix as much as some others you might notice. And that's because, colors like the pinks and the reds, it only takes just a tiny bit of a red to change a yellow, for example. So, when I do this, I just add, and when you do this, you just add a little bit of color to one of the colors at a time, again, until you get that visual equivalent. I also have here, I have 2 containers of water, one for dirty water, rinsing out the brush, and water here for adding, but I can also add water with my trusty little spritzer. And I have the spritzer here available. If my pan colors dry out, I use the spritzer to reactivate them because, of course, as you know, watercolor is water soluble. So here I have the cad yellow light. I have cadmium yellow here. I have cad red light over here because here I had a different color. So I wanted to put the orangey red over here. I have the Grumbacher red here. There's the quinacridone violet here. Operas here. And then I have cerulean, cobalt, and ultramarine over here along the side. So I'm going to continue with mixtures of the cad yellow light. Actually, I need to get a little bit more of that cadmium yellow pale. Well, I'll just use what's in there. Never mind. Okay. All right. Clean water. So I'm going to take some of this yellow, spritz that some more so I get it nice and wet. Trying to pick up clean color because, of course, what happens is my colors get kind of dirty. So I just want enough, to mix one square. Let's see. My brush is a little dry, so I'm going to get that. And then I'm going to mix in some Grumbacher red. So I want to make sure so I don't get that color dirty. I'm going to take a little bit of the red. Remember what I said, like reds, it can change a color pretty quick. So you only need, I just use a tiny bit, a tiny drop there for that mixture. Maybe I'll take just a little bit more so you can see more of a difference. And then I'll put that in this square. I think I want a little bit more saturated color here. Hold on. Let me get some more, get more pigment in there. So I think it's a little bit dull. A little bit too light in value, so I want to bring it up a little bit. Okay, that's better. That seems to be better. All right, darker. There we go. Better comparison. And I'm just going to go in and do this little square so we could see. I'm going to put some more in towards the top, and then maybe we could see like a range of light and dark, but at least what we'll be able to see is a good indicator of what those two colors mix look together. So I'm still in the cad yellow light row here, so I'm going to take more of that cad yellow light, and this time I'm going to mix it with some Q violet. Let's get some more water in there. Now that violet is a really, really intense dark color. I'm only going to need a teeny tiny bit of that. Wow, look at that. Ooh. Just a tiny bit of that, just change it. Now, because the violet and the yellow are opposites on the color wheel, what you get is it's almost like a brown. So I'm going to put that over here, but it's nice to know how to mix browns from the complementary colors on the color wheel. Again, the complementary colors are the opposites on the color wheel. And what that does is it grays out or browns out the color. And we call that it desaturates the color. So we see that turns into, now there's a range, obviously, that you can put between, even with the yellow and the violet. But again, I'm just trying, for practical purposes here, just trying to get the visual equivalent. Now, I'm going to skip the one next to it because I don't want one color to run into the other. So what I'll do here is I'll mix. We're going to get a chance to see what the green looks like a green looks like. So again, going back to the yellow, and so my water doesn't get too dirty. Okay, I'm going to swish that. And I have cobalt blue over here, so I'm going to take a little bit of the cobalt blue because that's darker in value. I don't necessarily want to overdo it or overpower the yellow. So, oh wow, look at this nice green that this creates, the cobalt blue. Okay, so now we have an idea. Now I could add more blue and make it more blue-green. Or this green here is a little bit yellow. So let's see. Maybe on the top of that square, what I'll do is I'll add a little bit more blue to it just to see what I get. And I'll put a little bit of that on the top so that we can at least see the range. A little bit more of a range. And maybe we could fade it out a little. I like the way that looks. I think I'm going to just cover that. Great. Okay. All right. So, and we leave this line's going to be blank because, you know, that's just, it's cad yellow light, cadmium yellow, so we just skip that. So everything this side of the diagonal is going to be covered. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to clean this up. And while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to go underneath the dry squares there and go into the cadmium yellow line. So this takes a while, but I just want to show you really quick how this goes. All right, clean water. Okay, and now I'm going to get some, let's see, we got the cadmium yellow. And for the cadmium yellow, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots. So let's do that. See if we can get this quicker. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. All right. A little bit dry, the paint there. My brush is a little dry, so let's get some of that there. Okay. Good. All right. So now I'm going to swish it. And we're going to start with our first color, which is going to be Cad Red Light. Okay. So here we go. Cad Red Light. I'm going to take, again, a little bit of the cadmium red and mix that into, ooh, that makes a really nice bright orange. So cadmium red into Cad Red Light into cadmium yellow. And look at that nice bright orange. Because what's happening here is we're mixing a yellow that reflects orange with a red that reflects orange. So now you know how to get the most brilliant orange. So far that is the most, out of all these oranges, this is the most orange you can get, right? There you go. Nice, warm, sunny orange. Perfect. Now, you don't always need a bright, sunny orange. There are times when, you know, you want a less saturated orange. Well, then you would mix it with either, you know, a yellow that reflects a cooler yellow with either the warm red or a cool red, and that's going to give you a dull orange. Okay, so next I'm going to mix the cadmium yellow with the opera. So let's take a little bit of the opera. Now we know that that's a loud, bright, here I am kind of color. So let's just take a little bit. Oof. Look at that. Now, the opera, let's get a little bit more of the yellow. I want to saturate that a little bit more here. Let's take more yellow and more of the opera. I just want to make it a little bit darker so that we can really see how beautiful this can look. So I think I want a little bit more opera in there, again, to get that visual equivalent of in between those two. So this is a pretty brilliant orange, but it's going to have a little bit more of a peachy cast to it because the opera is actually a cool. It reflects violet. So we have a warm sunny yellow with the pink or the red that reflects the violet. Let's get more of that in there. And actually, this does look like a great color for that rose because it does have that rosiness to it, as it's a warm, but the warmth that we would need. So we're going to leave that. Now in this case, we need cadmium yellow with the cerulean blue. So we're mixing a warm yellow with a blue that reflects green. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to skip that one pile and go over here. And I'm going to take this. Let's mix that in. We want to make this nice and saturated. Rinse it off. And let's pick up some cerulean blue. And see what we get for our green. So this is going to give us a different green. Also a green that's lighter in value because cerulean blue is lighter in value. So cadmium yellow with cerulean blue. There we go. Going to make that a little bit more saturated as well. Let's get more yellow in there and more blue in there. There we go. That is a totally different feeling of green. Great. Next, we're going to mix it with ultramarine blue. So I need to turn that up a bit. Here we go. Ultramarine blue. Here we go. Let's see what we get. Now, ultramarine blue is very dark, has a darker value to it. Need to get some more in there. Come on. Let's go, let's go, let's go. There we go. So, cadmium yellow, ultramarine blue. In this case, see, this green looks a little duller. That's because ultramarine blue, instead of reflecting green like the cerulean blue, it reflects some violet, so it neutralizes the yellow a little bit. The violet neutralizes or desaturates the yellow, so it definitely takes some of the brassiness out of it. There we go. So let's see how that looks a little bit more on top. So we get a little bit of a range. Cool. Very nice. All right. Okay. So let's see. Can I go back to... That's still a little bit too wet. Okay. So next, so we're going to skip around again. This time, can we go? No, we can't quite go back up there. So we're trying to be efficient, skipping around so we don't get our squares mixed up. So, okay, so I'm not going to mix Cad Red Light with Cad Red Light, but I can get Cad Red Light with the Grumbacher Red. So I'm mixing two reds together, but that's okay. First, let's clean this off. Keep our palette from getting too messy. I want it to be nice and clean so that we get some nice clean color mixtures here. Great. All right. Okay. Okay, so Cad Red Light with the Grumbacher Red. Let's go. This is Cad Red Light, which is the orange red. And I'm going to take some of the Grumbacher Red, mix that in. That looks like it probably took over. So let's go back into there. And Cad Red Light with the Grumbacher Red. And we're going to try to see, you know, an equivalent of halfway between the two. That's going to probably be hard to see here, but nevertheless a good exercise. I can actually see this in some of that rose. There. Okay, so this is going to be in between this and this. All right. So next, Quinacridone Violet with Cad Red Light. Whew, that's going to be good. All right, so I'm going to have Cad Red Light over here again. And we'll take some of that violet, mix that in, and see what we get. Ooh, it's almost like a cranberry or a maroon color. That's pretty interesting. Kind of like that. Ooh, I see. This actually looks like it could be in a shadow color there. Yummy. All right, here we go. See how beautiful that is? Such beautiful colors. So this is just playing with a palette, again, based on our initial hunch as to what colors we saw. Very nice. Okay, cool. All right. And then next, it'll be Cad Red Light with Cobalt Blue. Now, Cad Red Light reflects a lot of orange, right? Orange is the opposite of blue, right? So this is going to be interesting. Mixing that with some of the Cobalt Blue. Let's take that. Let's see what we get. It's kind of like a brown, a grayish brownish color. Interesting, but could make a nice shadow color. So it's dull, very dull. It's another brown that we can have at our disposal. Now this brown looks a little bit cool, so I can take, meaning it's got more of the blue in it, so I can go back and put a little bit more of the red back into it just to see the difference, to see what we can get. Ah, okay. So on the bottom half I added a little bit more red so that I could see a little bit more of a range there. You know, for one way it leans more to the blue, and you get a cooler tone, and then we get a warmer tone. Pretty nice. Okay. All right. So let's see. Can we go back? No, still can't really go back in there. That's going to be... All right. Okay. Well, we can still skip around. Let's go over here. We have Opera and Grumbacher Red. Quinacridone Opera and the Grumbacher Red. Let's get rid of this. Let's make sure my paints are nice and... Okay, so I got the Grumbacher Red. I'm interested to see how this comes out. Because we got the Grumbacher Red, which kind of leans warm, and then we have this violet pink to mix in with it. Ooh, that looks pretty cool. Ooh, wow. Actually, this color looks perfect. Looks perfect for some of the color that I saw in that rose. Yes. Ooh, ooh, like this. Cool. Awesome. Let's make it a little bit darker up on top. I really, really like that. Okay, so that's about the visual equivalent there. Okay, so Grumbacher Red with the cerulean blue. Let's take a look at that. Grumbacher Red. Cerulean blue. I think I want a little bit more of the blue in there. Ah, oh wow. You know what? I definitely see this as a viable violet. Really beautiful muted violet, because again we're mixing a red that leans warm with a blue that leans toward green. So the green and red desaturate each other, and that's why you have a duller purple there. But it has a desaturated purple is going to look really beautiful in the shadows and in those roses. All right. So next, we're going to mix the Grumbacher Red with the ultramarine blue, which is a blue that has a darker value. So here we go. I'm going to add a little red to that. I mean water to that red. Okay, rinse that out. And now go into the ultramarine blue. Let's see, hopefully I can get a nice, oh wow. Okay, so it's a bit more still on the red violet side, but I think I want some more. I want to put some more blue in there just to see, approximate where the in-between sweet spot is. Okay, so this is nice too. This one is more grapey. Now this blue reflects violet instead of green, so it doesn't desaturate the red. So that's why it looks more like closer to a cleaner, more brilliant purple, because we're mixing a red. Even though that red is warm and reflects orange, because we're mixing it with the blue that reflects violet, you're going to get a nicer purple out of that. So that's cool too. So it's it's less muddy than the purple that you get mixing that warm red with the cerulean blue. Okay, next. What's next? Opera and quinacridone violet. Ooh. Opera and quinacridone violet, because we're not going to mix opera with opera. We're going to mix it with the quinacridone violet. Ooh, that's going to be very exciting, because here we're going to have a purple that reflects violet more than any of the blues do, plus that pink. So that is going to create one beautiful purple. I am predicting. Let's clean this up a little bit more so that we don't have dirty colors. All right. Nice. Okay. All right. Let's get some clean. Okay, so I'm going with the opera and the violet. Ooh. Wow, that's going to be electric. Good times. Good times are coming. Ooh, look at that. That is really intense. Just that pink alone is unbelievable. And now we're just going to put a little bit of that violet in there. And wow, that's like electric purple. Electric purple. Amazing. Look at this. You're not going to get a brighter purple than this. The opera with that quinacridone violet is amazing. So if you're a fan of bright colors, this is another combination that you'll want to remember. Look at that beautiful, beautiful color. See how much brighter that is than even this purple and that purple. We still haven't gone the cobalt. We're going to do that next. We're going to do opera with the cobalt blue. Let's try that. Opera with the violet. And now we're going to do the cobalt blue. So here, let's get some opera on here. Spritz with clean water. Dilute that. Okay. Rinse that good. Rinse, blot. Okay, so cobalt blue, here we come. Let me try to get a lot of nice cobalt is like, it's kind of like a quieter blue. So, ooh, wow. That makes it like electric blue right there. Ooh, I think we need a little bit more pink though, because that looks like a little bit too blue. So let's go back into the pink. Let's lighten that up a little bit. Wow. That's amazing. It is going to be bluer than the, because you're mixing with blue instead of violet. So, oh, look at that. That's more of the equivalent. So, wow. The opera with that. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Looks like grape Kool-Aid or grape soda. It's good to know what colors make that bright purple. It's like artificial grape. Not like a real grape, but artificial grape. Like Welch's. Looks like Welch's grape. Love that. Look how nice that is. Ooh, loving that. I'm not sure that this is, maybe somewhere in between could be used. I'm not sure. It's a little too intense. Of course, there's always artistic license, right? Okay. So now let's go down to this where we have Q Violet with Cerulean Blue. So I'm going to go in here, wipe this off. We're going to do some Q Violet with Cerulean Blue. Okay. Okay. I think I'm going to put the Cerulean Blue in first because that's the color that has less value. It's not as dark, you know, and it's not as loud. So I'm going to take that cerulean first, and then I'll add the darker color to it, because if I start out with that quinacridone violet, I am never going to get there. Need to wet that a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to rinse that off. Make sure I got that pretty good. Okay. And, okay, so violet. Cerulean blue, quinacridone violet. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit of that to start. That was too tiny of a bit. A little bit more. All right. Hopefully that's not too much. It probably is. Oh, no, that's all right. Oh, look at that. Cerulean blue. What a beautiful blue violet. That looks like, it's like periwinkle blue. Yeah. I think like hydrangeas almost when I see this. Wow, what another beautiful color. Oh, I love this color. I know what I want to use this for. I am so happy that I just mixed these two colors together because they make a beautiful blue violet. Oh, that is so, because the cerulean blue reflects a little bit of green instead of the violet like the other blues. So it desaturates that blue violet just a little bit to make it really, that is so wonderful. Love that. I hope that you're getting as excited about color as I am. So quinacridone violet and ultramarine blue is the next mixture. All right, so let's see. So again, I think I'm going to go with the blues because the violet, the ultramarine blue first, because the violet, like I said, it's pretty intense. So I'm going to make sure that I put that in first. All right. Let's give this a little bit more. I know, by the way, I didn't tell you about my palette. This is actually the Tom Lynch palette, the porcelain palette. I think it's made by Richardson. It's really a nice palette. Okay, so let's go back in here. Let's take some of this. Oh, that's nice too. See, this is a little bit more intense than that. All right, I want a little bit more of the violet so we could see that difference more. All right. So it's not quite as subdued. So another blue violet, but this looks more purple than that one because we're using, you know, violet that reflects violet and a blue that reflects violet. So this blue is the most blue violet you can get. And we can go quite a bit darker with this because both the quinacridone violet and the ultramarine blue are really dark in value. So let me just see if I can just add a little texture so you could see the value, an increase in the value. That's really, really nice. Don't leave that. Beautiful. Okay. And now we have cerulean blue and cobalt blue. Cerulean blue and cobalt blue. All right. So we're mixing a blue that reflects green with a blue that reflects violet. Let's see what happens when we get the in-between between those. That, and now we're going to go for the ultramarine blue in here. Oh, cerulean blue and ultramarine blue. Right there. Good thing that's already dry. Makes for a nice blue. The cerulean blue takes down the value a little bit. And it takes some of the electricity out of that ultramarine blue because, again, cerulean blue, I think, has a touch of white in it. I'm going to make this a little bit darker anyway. That makes that value a little bit lighter. And the green in the cerulean blue desaturates the violet in the ultramarine blue. Okay. Okay, here we go. So let's see, where are we going to go next? Now we can go back up to the top and we can start to finish those. We'll get to finally see what the other greens would be too. We got a really nice start here. All right. So we have cerulean blue and cad yellow light. Let's try that first. Cerulean blue. Let's open that. And the cad yellow light. See what we get. Okay, so right here we're mixing a yellow that reflects green with a blue that reflects green. So that is like a really that's a really bright green right there. See that? Look how bright that is. That's going to give you the greenest green, but not the darkest value because, again, the cerulean blue has a lighter value and yellow just inherently has, a light value. So here we go. So that's a nice green. And so we're going to compare that really quick with the ultramarine blue and the yellow. So let's do that. Let's do the yellow first. This time. And the ultramarine blue. Let's see what we get. See, now that gets... Now the violet in this blue is going to take some of the brassiness out of that green, but it does create a nice green. Hold on a sec. I think I'm going to go ahead and make it just a little bit darker. What do I have here? Oh yeah, here. There we go. So you can see the range. I like the way the violet in the ultramarine blue takes out some of the brassiness of the green of that cad yellow light that reflects green too. Most greens in nature need a little bit of desaturation, so that works really well. And let's see, we have, we can go back to the oranges over here, the reds. We have the Grumbacher red with cadmium yellow. So let's take this out. Go back to that. So I'm going to take some of the cadmium yellow. And then we'll get some of the Grumbacher red. Mix that together. So cadmium yellow, you know, with another red that also reflects orange, is going to give us a nice, it's going to give us a nice orange. This orange looks a lot like the daylilies that were just blooming in my backyard. They're almost done blooming now. There's a few left, but yeah, I think that this orange, like tiger lily orange, that's what this looks like to me. Maybe some of the petals that are in the light look a little bit lighter, but in the shadow parts of a tiger lily, that looks good. And also, I could see this working in our rose. Okay. Next, we have cadmium yellow with quinacridone violet. Okay. So here we go. That warm yellow. Right. And some of the quinacridone violet. So we have, this is going to make an even duller brown. I think it should. That quinacridone violet is pretty intense. All right. We get another brown, golden brown. I think I want to see more pigment in that though. So I'm going to take a little bit more. Oh, look at that. It can make a beautiful gold. Let me take some of that before I mix more of the, so you can see there's a little bit more gold in it. And then on the bottom, I'm going to put a little bit more of the violet in it there. Let's see what happens. The yellow takes out the loudness of the violet. So here in the other range, we have this. And you see it's not, it takes the loudness right out of that purple, right? Even when there's a little bit higher ratio of the violet in it. So that could be quite nice. Okay. Next, we have cadmium yellow and cobalt blue. So let's get rid of this. We don't want those reds in there. Okay, so here we go. Cobalt blue and cadmium yellow. Okay, so again, we're going to go with the color that's got the lighter value. and we mix the darker into the light. Let's make sure I get a nice mixture. Okay, before I start swishing it around in here. Okay, cobalt blue. Yes, okay, good. Cobalt blue. Ooh, nice. Warm yellow with a blue that reflects violet. So let's see. All right, so you see this is a little bit more brilliant. It doesn't have quite as much violet as the ultramarine blue, so the blue is a little bit, so the green's a little bit brighter than in this square. Nice. Good. All right. Okay, so we got all the, you see, we got all the greens. Some greens are more yellow, some are more blue, some are duller. It's going to help us figure out what greens we want to use in for our flower, for our rose. So now we're going to continue with the Cad Red Light line. We have Cad Red Light and Opera. I'm really curious to see how that's going to go. Okay, so Cad Red Light. Put that over here. Mix that up. Swish that. Blot that. Get some cleaner color. And we're going to get the Opera. So I'm excited to see how that looks. Ooh, wow. Look at that bright. Ooh, that is just perfect. Ooh, Cad Red Light. That warm red with the Opera. Again, that looks really, really cool. I think I want to see more of this, more pigment in there though. So let's take this. Let's put that. Let's see what that looks like. With a lot more color in it. Oh, wow, that is amazing. That looks really beautiful. And then we have Cad Red Light with Cerulean Blue. All right, so let's take the Cad Red Light over here. Cerulean Blue. Now, I can pretty much tell you that's going to be a grayish color. All right, so I have the cooler over here. So you see this looks grayer because you have a blue that reflects green and a red that reflects orange. So it's going to be a little bit more neutral. I'm just going to take a little bit more of this just to plop in here real quick so that we can see, you know, what it looks like when there's a little bit more orange mixed into it. There you go. And let's mix it together a little bit over here. There. That's pretty amazing. But I can actually see that those two colors within some of the greens and the rose. Ultramarine blue with Cad Red Light. Let's do that. So we got the Cad Red Light again. Over here. And ultramarine blue. Yep, I think I'm running a little low on that, so let's put some more in there. Put a little bit more in here. ultramarine blue. Take that into here. I think I want some more because that looks a little bit warm, but let's see. Let's take that to the bottom, and we'll take, you know, the cooler on the top so that we can see the range. See a nice range there. All right. Want that, that. There we go. Ooh, wow, that is really, that creates an interesting color right there. It's almost a black, really, really deep gray here. Let's see. Blue gray. So we got that. We got a blue gray. And let's see. I want to mix the in between here. Let's see. So we get a pretty good range here. Wow. Nice. It's nice to see those different colors. But they're dull, you know. There's a place for duller colors. We need those too, because we need the contrast between the dull colors and the brighter colors. They help set off the brighter colors. So it's definitely worthwhile to be mixing those. We have a few more, just a few more squares left. So let's take that. Clean up the palette. Okay, so we're going back to the Grumbacher Red. Grumbacher Red with Quinacridone Violet. Let's see how that comes out. Grumbacher Red. And the violet. Take some of that. Ooh, wow, that looks pretty neat. But I do think, oh, wow, that's pretty intense. All right. Let us take a little bit more of the Grumbacher Red, because I just want to see. Ooh, that is really nice. Grumbacher Red with the Q Violet. Now, you see, compared to the Cad Red Light, how this is like a brighter red, because this red doesn't have as much orange in it. This one is a little bit cooler, reflects a little bit more violet. So that's why when mixed with the Quinacridone Violet, it makes, you know, it makes a little bit brighter of a red violet. But when mixed with the Opera over here, which also reflects violet, violet plus violet makes a more intense red violet, because it doesn't have the orange to tone it down. Okay, so now we have Grumbacher Red with Cobalt Blue. Okay, so again, the Grumbacher Red is a little bit on the warm side, right? So and let's go. Cobalt Blue. I'm going to mix a little bit of the Cobalt Blue with it. Let's see what we get. So we are going to get a purple. So you're still going to get a pretty good purple, a more purple than you would with the cerulean blue over here, because Cobalt Blue reflects more violet. The green in the cerulean blue neutralizes that some, so there you go. So let's see what happens when, oh, I think that got a little bit dirty. So let's take this over here. I just want to see a range. Let's take this. Let's make that just a little bit redder just while it's still wet, just so that we could see the difference there. And I'll blend that together a bit. And with that, go back to that purple one, and then we'll see a range of redder to bluer. That's nice. Okay, so now we have Opera with cerulean blue. Now we have a blue that reflects green. So when you mix that with a pink, that's, you know, pink and green are like opposites. So that's going to translate into a lot duller, I think, of a pink. That's my prediction. So let's go. We're going to take some cerulean blue. We'll put that in first because that's the color that's doesn't have as much pigment. It's not as loud with pigment as that quinacridone Opera is. That is some bright pink there. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's get the Opera. It's so electric, that Opera, that it does kind of take over, but you see it's a little bit duller. You see it's not as, you don't notice the pink as much. It kind of, the green in the cerulean blue really tones that down. But I can add a little bit more of the Opera just so that, again, so that we can see a range. More of a range. Okay. All right. So I'll put that up on top. Even so, that cerulean blue, again, it still, you know, takes the oomph out of that purple. Now finally we have the Opera over here with the ultramarine blue. So let's take some of the ultramarine blue. I know that's the darker value color, but again, because that Opera is so intense, I just want to make sure I have enough blue first, right? There we go. Now the ultramarine blue reflects violet, so when mixed with the quinacridone Opera, that's probably going to be pretty intense. Let's see. Ooh, yeah, look at that. And a darker, wow, what a purple that is, right? So this purple is even more purple than the other, the cobalt. Let's make that a little bit, should make it a little bit deeper. Let's get a little bit more blue in there. And I'll put that on top just so that, again, so that we could see the range. That's a really beautiful purple. So we have quinacridone violet and cobalt blue. Quinacridone violet and cobalt blue. Okay. So I'm going to put the cobalt blue on first, because that's the less intense color. And I know that I'm just going to put a little bit of the violet in there. Because, oh, maybe I put, no, see, I think I put too much. Here. get a little bit more cobalt blue in there. Oh, that's better. That's a pretty color too. So it's comparable to the ultramarine blue quinacridone violet mix, because both the cobalt blue and the ultramarine blue, they do reflect violet. And both of these are more intense than the one that the violet that's mixed with the cerulean blue, because the green in the cerulean blue dulls it. Okay. So now this here is a mirror of that. And we have, let's see, cerulean blue with cobalt blue. Did I already have that though? No, I didn't. Does that go there? Let's see. Nope. Got to put cerulean blue with cobalt blue. Let's try that. Okay, still going. So I have these two squares left. Cerulean blue with cobalt blue. All right. Cerulean blue. With the cobalt blue. Right here. I like that blue together. Cerulean with the cobalt. That reminds me of a sunny day, a blue sky on a sunny day, which would fade to like more of a pure cerulean blue, but it usually is darker at the top. So cobalt and cerulean together is really nice. So we have cobalt blue and ultramarine blue left. Yep, cobalt blue and ultramarine left. All right, cobalt. We'll start with that one since that's the color that is lighter in value and doesn't have as high as a pigment load as the ultramarine blue. We have the ultramarine blue. Take a little bit of that, mix that in. I think I need to mix a little bit more. That's a nice blue as well. Cobalt and ultramarine together. Okay. So from start to finish, this took about an hour to do. And that's it. Now we have, in here we have our range of colors that we can pick from for our roses. So next, what we'll need to do is talk about which one of these mixed colors we can pick out of each of the roses. Which one of these resulting mixes is in the ballpark of the colors that we see in the roses. So I'm going to end this video now, and next we will talk about that subject. How can we use this chart to help us pick and mix the colors that we need to paint these beautiful roses? Thanks.